How am I supposed to pick the bones out of this one, mate? Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you are all doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Boy, I've missed you, man, after a day off. Here is your match review of Chelsea's 3-3 draw in the Premier League away at West Brom. There's a lot to talk about. There's so much to talk about. Another 6-goal thriller from Chelsea in the space of a few days, but not quite the same kind of 6-goal thriller that we really like. Look, man, I'm going to talk about the goals, I'm going to talk about the comeback, I'm going to talk about the ultimately disappointing result. But the truth is, if there were two absolute howlers from Marcos Alonso and Thiago Silva in this game, and had they not happened, Chelsea win 3-1. So we're going to talk about player performances, goal scorers, Frank changing the system, the fact how the goal scorers for Chelsea were all made in Cobham, even after this Galactico rebuild summer transfer window. The kids are not done yet, nor will they go out quietly. Oh yeah, guys, so close to 100,000 subscribers. If you want to help a brother out, please do consider subscribing to Football Therapy, hitting that important bell notifications icon, and if you want to help me out after such a stressful game, please do drop a like on this video. Come on, do us a favour, mate. Alright then, let's get into it. So Chelsea were away in the Premier League at the Hawthorns against West Brom. A resolute, defensive, yet apparently insanely clinical West Brom, and it's a 3-3 draw. Check out the who scored match graphic on front of my face now, just to give you some context of the lineup. Of course, there was a sort of 5-back system for Brom, 4 along the middle, and a big man up front who had a very clinical day. Frank Lampard went with his 4-2-3-1, which is ultimately his favoured formation, but I think is he going to have to wait a little bit longer before he can implement this properly? I get why he wants to build the whole team around Kai Havertz, who is a superstar talent, but man, there was no connection between the midfield and attack here. In goal, we had Willy Caballero, understandably, after a really good performance in midweek in the Carabao Cup. Reece James at right back, Marcos Alonso at left back, boo-hoo. The centre-back partnerships consisted of Christensen, Thiago Silva, double pivot, Mateo Kovacic and Kante, Kai Havertz in the free number 10 role, Mason Mount on the right, Timo Werner on the left, and Tammy Abraham up front. Now, considering how well Chelsea combined in the midweek, granted against weak opposition, for me, this was the perfect lineup. Callum Hudson-Odoi didn't seem great last time out. Yes, he was very good when he came on here, and Mason Mount has played well. He played well in this game. He did it right on the right wing, but of course better as a number 8. We're going to talk about the changes in a minute. 2 goals from Robertson up front, who loves scoring against Chelsea, and Bartley for their 3rd. The aforementioned Chelsea goal scorers are all Cobham Chelsea Academy products. Mason Mount with a screamer, of course. Callum Hudson-Odoi and Tammy Abraham, despite having new superstars on the pitch. Now, of course, I feel a little bit frustrated for Frank Lampard. Like, I'm totally open to criticising the manager, even as a Frank Lampard superfan. But the thing is, I was really happy with the lineup. I thought it was pretty darn perfect. I thought, yes, CHO off the bench as well. You know, in the opening stages, Mason Mount was very good on the right wing, kind of justifying it, but the whole of Chelsea were really awful. And we were 3-0 down in, what, half an hour? Less? So, what happened? Well, first off, Marcos Alonso headed a ball across, basically turning over possession in a really vulnerable area. They score their first goal after the Alonso mistake. It goes through Reece James's legs, which is always really difficult for a keeper. It was a good finish, and Willy Caballero, it is very difficult for him. So fair enough, but ultimately it stems from that Marcos Alonso turnover of possession, howler. Now, the second goal, and not too far away, is Thiago Silva gifting them the ball to go and score. Thiago Silva, yes, that guy. He did an absolute howler. Was it the Premier League? It was nothing to do with the speed. He just gave the ball away, rolled it, and gave them a gift of a goal. So, 2 gifts, really early doors. Chelsea are 2-0 down, and from that there's a collective psychological capitulation. But to be fair to West Brom, their 3rd goal was the Bartley goal was very well worked. Good combinations, tidy little finish. That was a great goal, and to be, they deserve credit for that. Well, they deserve credit for everything. 3 shots, 3 goals. bam, clinical, but, you know, 2 were ultimately gifts. That goal was great. Chelsea are 3-0 down at half an hour, and they do not do anything for the rest of the half. They seem to sort of collapse, this sort of fragile mentality, the curse of whatever this awful third kit is. Call it what you want, mate. Anyway, so Frank Lampard is obviously fuming on the touchline at what he's seeing in front of him, and he takes action. Half time he makes 2 changes. He takes off Alonso, which I think every Chelsea fan around the planet would have done, and brings on Azpilicueta to play left back. Oh my word, the sooner Ben Chilwell is good to go, the better. And he brings on Callum Hudson-Odoi, who goes over to the right wing. He moves Mason Mount into the midfield. And now, without Kovacic, it's N'Golo Kante as a lone CDM, 2 attacking 8s in the shape of Mason Mount, which that's his best position, and Kai Havertz. The front 3 now consists of Tammy Abraham up front, flanked by Werner, and Callum Hudson-Odoi. Later down the line, Frank Lampard also brings on Giroud, but keeps on Werner and Abraham, and it's just an absolute striker fest. And I'm so pleased he obviously kept Abraham on, because he ended up scoring the equaliser at the end, and Chelsea probably should have gone on to win that game. But, you know, Mason Mount absolutely takes responsibility for Chelsea and scores like a 30-yard screamer. It's an absolute wonder goal. It has a bit of bend on it. It goes in. It's unsavable. He just runs back to the centre spot, doesn't celebrate. Really, really positive to see from Mason Mount. And from there, Chelsea start rallying their comeback. Chelsea get their second through a superb combinational, or a bit of superb combinational play in the final third. They were doing a lot of that, but Kai Havertz sets up Callum Hudson-Odoi with a lovely finish. It's a great goal. You know, all Chelsea's goals were good. You know, the Tammy was a bit of a poach. More on that in a second, but this was really good combinational play. Chelsea are in the ascendancy, and they have enough time to keep pushing for that equaliser / hopefully get a winner. Now, the Tammy Abraham goal comes very, very late. He just does what he does best, sniffing out poacher. The ball comes off the keeper. He's there, right place, right time to tap it in. 3-3, there's a few minutes left. Chelsea keep pushing. I think there's a large segment of the final minutes of the game, Chelsea had like 90% possession, and ultimately the points are shared. So what can we take from this game? We can take that Chelsea have good spirit. They showed that last season. They can come back and do very, very well. They've shown that no matter how many superstars you can buy in, there's the Cobham boys that ultimately scored the goals, which is really positive, and it showed that Chelsea have a massive problem at left back and are still defensively frail. Now, although I'm about to go through player performances quickly, but I am sort of like the 4-2-3-1. I understand why Frank went for it again, and I'm pleased he changed it at half time. But something needs to change. We're instilling this sort of calm, because it's a psychological capitulation between the players after those 2 goals. The third, they shouldn't have had the opportunity to do the third. Yes, it was a bit of a freak situation, but you still need to put some responsibility on the players. So in goal, Willy Caballero did pretty good, fair enough. I mean, I don't really want to blame him too much. Mendy will be in goal soon, so fair play. Marcus Alonso was ruddy awful. Azpilicueta came on and did a lot better, calmed things down, but yeah, Alonso's culpable for one of the goals. Thiago Silva, as much as I hate to say it, of course he's culpable for one of the goals, that just turning over possession, you know, right in front of a goal. No wonder they scored it. Very, very poor. Christensen was actually good. I know it's difficult to say when you've conceded 3 goals, but if you look at his individual defensive performance, it's actually pretty darn good. Reece James was a little bit disappointing for me. Feel free to correct me down in the comments, but in terms of his ability, he did put in a few good crosses early doors that just weren't met. But yeah, I mean, he's been better, so a little bit frustrated from that, but it's okay, whatever, we move. Now, Kovacic and Kante, for me, were both poor. It's certainly in the first half. There was no connection from them and the 3 behind the striker in the first half. Kante looked a bit better when he was a lone CDM, which is ironic because he's changing position and playing better in different positions all the time, so it's very, very confusing. Mason Mount played well at opening stages at the right wing. He was our only really threatening attacker, and of course he looked much better when he moved inside as an attacking 8 in the midfield, scored a wonder goal, so excellent from Mason Mount. Kai Havertz, good, I suppose. He looks like he needs to speed up with the speed of the Premier League. Obviously he got the assist for Callum Hudson-Odoi's goal. He did a few good, you can tell he's got the flair because he's trying these combinational things. It's not quite coming off yet, but got an assist from midfield, was constantly trying things. He does need to speed up a little bit with the ball, but I think he did okay, really, ultimately, right? Tammy Abraham was completely anonymous in the first half of the game. He also missed a sitter, I believe, in the first half, but ultimately when you score the goal that gives you a point, that's pretty important, isn't it? Timo Werner hit the crossbar, did a lot of running, like Kai Havertz, a lot of nearly combinational play. You can see the quality, but is it really enough? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Giroud came on and basically shook things up a little bit before Chelsea, took a point from that game. So I guess he was integral, not integral, but important, maybe? Yeah. Anyway, what do you guys think? It's a really difficult one to do a post-mortem on and pick the bones out of. That game, if Chelsea, I'll reiterate, if there's not two howlers defensively, Chelsea win that game 3-1, not even a whatever, so it's difficult to say, but Chelsea can't be rattled that early in the Premier League. This team needs to settle, and you bring in Thiago Silva to prevent stuff like that, and when he does a howler himself, it's no good. So hopefully everyone bounces back from that. There's a lot to learn from this game. And I walk away feeling confused because obviously I had like the dopamine and serotonin of being hyped because we got it back and Chelsea were looking to win. It's almost like, alright, well, we're an idiots, we handicapped ourselves, and now we've shown we can play really good football. How are you supposed to feel about that? You tell me how you guys feel. Get down in the comment section below. I want to hear it. Please do drop a like on the video. Subscribe to Football Therapy if you're new. Oh man, I'm out. Enjoy the football. I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.